Hey, what's up guys, this is Rohan, and in this video we're gonna talk about how you can model in Cinema 4D. So this is for complete beginners who are really new to modeling and how it's done, what are the basics of it. So in this video we're gonna be creating this portal which can help you a lot. And also if you have not watched my previous video which was on interface of Cinema 4D, then you should watch it, because in this video I'm not gonna talk about stuff like how to navigate through the viewport and stuff like that, because in the previous video I talked about it. If you know everything about that, the viewport, the panels and stuff, then I think you should continue this video, otherwise you will have hard time understanding it. So without any further ado, let's dive right into it. So here we are in Cinema 4D right now, and before we get into modeling the bottle, I'm just gonna explain you some things about modeling and some important things which you can use while you're modeling. I'm not gonna talk about anything extra which you don't need. So these things are the main things which you need to use, alright? And if you are seeing my screen, you might see that I have a different interface. The reason is I have Redshift IPR right here, which helps me see the output directly right here. And I know you might not have Redshift, so what you can do is go to standard and just turn off the new layouts, alright? And you will get everything besides this Redshift. You can go here in standard, then you can turn off this new layouts and then go back to standard, alright? It's just the same, everything is the same like I just have like the Redshift on the top right. That's the only difference, guys. Let's start with making a cube. This cube just has one segment, so let me make it 3, alright? Now you might not see any difference, but for seeing the difference, what you have to do is go into display and turn on Gorod shading lines. I don't know how it's pronounced, so my bad if I pronounce it wrong. Now you can see some difference right here. Let me make it 1 again. When I'm on one segment, you can see only one face on each side, only a single polygon on each side. When I do 3, you can see 9 on one side. This is just basically dividing cube in multiple parts, alright? And when you see complex shapes, what happens is that they are not made up of single polygon on one side or something like that, alright? It's never gonna happen, guys. Every object that you see is made up of multiple segments, alright? It's not an object by itself, it's made up of different segments. That's the basic thing you need, and the number of segments you need is dependent on how much detail you want in your object. I think for now 3 is good on all X, Y and Z direction. So you might see that a segment is made up of square kind of thing. Let's make this editable. Now what editable means is that you'll be able to modify this object, alright? You can model this. That's what modeling is. Right now I did not model anything. This is just creating a basic primitive shape, that's it. Modeling is by manipulating different shapes or any object. That's called modeling. So for doing that you have to make this cube editable. So for making the cube editable, I have to select the cube and then press C, and now it's editable. Now I can modify this cube as I want. So let's turn off these lines. Go back to Gorod shading again rather than lines. It still has the segments, but you don't see it because I've turned it off. So each segment is made up of point, edges and polygons. Polygon is the main face, alright? This gray part is the main polygon. Edge is this line which is connecting, and the point is this where the edges are kind of meeting. See, 3 edges are meeting at this point. So before we start modeling, we have to keep these 3 things in our mind, so we can manipulate things based on their points, their edges or their polygons. So first let's get in point selection. So you can click on this button right here to select points. Now you can see points. The black ones are the points. You can see it clearly right now, alright? So for selecting those points, if you want to select all points, you can press Ctrl plus A. And when this turns orange kind of, then you have selected all points, alright? So we don't need to do that. So click anywhere on the screen and it's gonna deselect. What we can do to select a specific point is there's multiple ways, alright? First you can select by the move tool itself, alright? If you have the move tool already selected, which it is on default I guess, then you can select individual points, alright, by clicking on them. If you want to select multiple points, then hold shift while selecting all the points, alright? I'm holding shift and that's how I select multiple points at the same time. If you want to deselect a point, what you have to do, let's just suppose we selected some points, alright. Now for deselecting it, hold Control and then press on them and it will deselect. That's the basic of selecting by this move tool. Now we have a brush selection. So what the brush selection does is gives us kind of like a brush, alright, and this does not work like that. I mean, if you want to select a single point, you can click on it and it still works, but you don't have to press shift in order to select multiple points. What you can do is just hold the click and drag, alright, and you can select multiple points. Don't release the click, just drag, alright. You have to hold the left click, not the right click. Now you can do it like that. And if you want to deselect, press Control and hold left click and just move over the points to deselect them, alright. You have to hold both, alright, Control and left mouse click. Now we have another which is called rectangle selection. This is also needed a lot of times. Now for this, you can select points in bulk. How you can do that is drag, and whatever points come in this rectangle which I have dragged and created, they will be selected automatically. Now there's a thing with this rectangle selection, which is that it selects the point which are not seen on our screen, but they are kind of, if I make like a rectangle, you can see that the things which are behind are also getting selected, because they are also coming in this rectangle, but we are not seeing it. So for selecting the points which we can see and not the points which we cannot see, just turn on this visible only, and now whatever you see is only getting selected. Now you don't see the back side getting selected, which we did not see. And that's all you need to know for selecting stuff, alright. Now one more thing, for deselecting it's the same, alright. You have to hold Control and then drag, and you can deselect a specific area. Now for manipulating, we have options like move, rotate and scale. Now with move tool you can select, with rotate as well you can select, with scale as well you can select. As I said, the easiest way is by the brush selection in my opinion. So suppose you have selected some area. Let me select this part. I have visible only turned on, alright, so I'm just selecting the ones which are above. Now what we can do is move them above. Now how we can move them above is by, see this axis right now, alright, it's the same when we have to move an object completely or rotate an object completely or transform an object completely. The same axis is given, just you can model with them. In the previous video I talked about it, alright, the interface video, so you can check that out for knowing about this axis. So this is the Y axis, alright. So if you wanna drag this above, what we can do is hold and drag. See, this is how we manipulate. Now I wanna manipulate this or move this in the X direction. I can do that as well, alright. I can move this in the Z direction as well by this. It's pretty easy to understand. Now same goes to rotation. We can rotate in multiple directions. We can scale as well, alright, scale in or scale out, you can do both. So that's how you can manipulate stuff. Now the same rule applies to the edges. It's literally everything is the same. The selection criteria to manipulate the edges, it's same, everything is same. Let me just show you, alright, so that you can believe me. This is same. You can move it like this, rotate, do anything, transform. Same with the polygons, you can select and move. You can rotate as well. You can transform as well. So that's how to do the basic stuff, alright. Now that's not the only thing which you have to do, alright, there should be more. Now what we can do is extrude a specific area if we want. So for that, what you have to do is right click on the screen anywhere, and then you have these many options. Now it's impossible for me to cover everything. I'm just gonna cover things which are gonna help you and they are gonna benefit you while you're making the bottle as well. So the main thing is extrusion. There's multiple options which we can use here for modeling. Select an area by this. Alright, we selected this. Now let's right click and select extrude. Hold your left click and drag on the right side, and it's gonna extrude above. If you wanna extrude down, you can do the opposite. You can drag on the left side. It goes down like this. So now what's the difference between extruding and moving? When you do extruding, it's creating new segments, alright? It's not extending that segment, it's creating complete new segment. See here, when I move, it's not creating a segment, but when I'm extruding, I create a new segment. These are the new ones right here. That's for extrusion. Now there's one thing called inset, which is also known as inner extrude. So again, you have to select all of them. I can select them by, left clicking. And for inner extruding or insetting, you can hold your left click and drag on the left side. Now we can extrude this area in order to create a really good structure. Looks good, right? So that's how modeling is done. We use multiple different combos in order to create a complex object. But I inner extruded inside, not outside. We can do that outside as well. If you drag on the right side, alright. See, I dragged on the right side and now it has done this. Now let's talk about line cut. Now you can create multiple segments by cutting the line, alright. I would not recommend this if your object is already in a good manner, but I can just do it for showing you guys, alright. You can select an edge, alright, press on it, click and press on another edge and click on it, and then press escape. So the reason why we do that is to divide a polygon into multiple different polygons. This was a single polygon, now there are two. Alright, we can create a division. Now I don't need that, so I'm pressing Ctrl Z. There's another thing which is called as a loop cut. Now what a loop cut does is cuts in a loop. This is also same, it divides polygons, but it's creating a loop around our object. The thing which I wanted to talk about in the beginning was a very important thing which came in my mind is that you see every segment is made up of these squares which are called quads. Alright, you can see segments made up of triangles as well. You need to keep in mind that most of the times when you're modeling, the polygon should be quadrilaterals. Alright, it can be triangle or n-gons meaning more than 4 edges. Alright, this thing has 4 edges. Every single polygon has 4 edges. If it has 3, then it's triangle, right? Most of the times you have to keep in mind that whenever you are creating line cuts or loop cuts or anything like that, you don't have to create a triangle or an n-gon. Alright, you have to keep that in mind. It's really important. I'm not gonna get into deep why you have to do it, but it kind of makes things easier. Suppose if we have a triangle, I would not be able to do this loop part cut because it would cause inconsistencies. When you have quads in your geometry, everything is consistent throughout, alright, which will be easy for you to work on. Always keep your geometry as simple as possible, which is in quads. There's also a function called slide, but we can't use it while we are in the polygon mode. We have to use it while we are in the points mode or when we are in the edges mode. Let me right click and go to the slide. Now what we can do is, let's select a single edge and we can kind of slide it anywhere, I mean, it's a straight edge right now, so we don't need to do it, but when we are modeling a complex object, then we might require it, so keep that in mind as well. So other than that, I think so we don't need to talk about right now. While I'm making it, we might get into situations when we need more things. Another thing which I want to tell, if suppose you accidentally deleted any face, alright, what you can do is press right click and select the close polygon hole tool, and when you go on the edges, you might have this option, alright, which kind of highlights that area, and when you click on that, it closes the hole. So it's something you need to keep in mind as well. Another things I'll explain while we're modeling the bottle. Alright, so let's start with modeling a bottle. What we have to do in the beginning is bring the reference. Now reference is not needed every time, but it kind of makes the process easier and faster, so why not? It's not like you cannot make a bottle without it, but it's preferable. So for bringing the image, what you have to do is middle mouse click on the viewport and go to the front viewport, alright? We have to put the image right here, so we can use the image as a reference to create our model. Now what we have to do is click on this mode and then go to view settings, and this is where we have to put the image. So I'm just gonna drag it, and here we go. Here we have this, alright. Now before we start modeling, what you have to keep in your mind is that you have to see how the object is made. So how does the object look like? Which is the closest primitive shape which kind of resembles with this object? Primitive shape meaning one of these shapes which we can create directly. So the answer is, of course, the cylinder. It kind of looks like a cylinder. So when you are creating an object which is a little bit complex or like even more complex, you have to see some parts of it and you have to decide what it is made up of. I can clearly see this bottle is round and it's a little bit taller from this angle, so it's a cylinder. Of course we can decrease the height of it, but that's what you have to look while you are modeling any object. So let's bring the cylinder. Now what I see here is that the image is not centered. The bottle is kinda on the left side, so we can change that as well by going in view settings, alright, and offsetting this X a little bit so that it kinda looks it's in the middle, alright. You have to eyeball it kind of. I feel like this is good, yeah. This kind of feels like the middle of it. So if it's not in the center, it's kind of off, then you can do this from this offset. So now what we should do is kind of replicate the basic shape of this blue area, alright. So I can increase the height a little bit from here, alright, the radius a little bit from here, and let's just bring it a little bit down. Do that same as well, do that thing again. I think we should make it a little bit smaller. We can make it a little more wider. I think this looks good. We can change these things, you know, it does not matter. We need to just get the base shape, and when you get that, now what we have to do is make this editable. But before we do that, alright, don't do it. Before we do that, we need to check if the segments are properly there, alright. So let's go back to this viewport, and I feel like it looks like the segments are not enough, because you can clearly see that there's sharp edges. We don't need that, guys. So increase the rotation segments. Don't do it completely, otherwise it's gonna slow your system, but a little bit is enough. I think 24 is good. Now you can still see there's a little bit of edge, you can kind of see this, but we are gonna change that, so don't worry about it. I'm gonna tell a way to do that as well, how we can smooth it. Height segments, let's go back to this front viewport. Just make it like 6 or something. Yeah, this works fine for now. We are gonna subdivide it, which also I'm gonna talk about. And let's just make it editable. And now when you do it, we can model this. Now as you know the basics, just follow me and you will understand how the procedure works. Let's get back to the perspective view and select the polygons are which down below. Let's select all the polygons by this brush selection and get back to the front view. And what you see is that we have to create this steel area. So for that we have to extrude it. You can extrude this by the extrude tool, but there is a shortcut which you can use, and that is by using the move tool. Now how you can do it is by holding the control on your keyboard. You can see the key right here, alright? You can see on the bottom right. Hold it and drag it down a little bit, alright, and it's gonna extrude. And let's just scale this down a little bit. We can manipulate that. If it's not perfect, we can change that, but for now it's fine. Now let's extrude it again. Yeah, now let's see. Looks good on the bottom. We can change that a little bit after we create the top part as well. Now let's select top polygons. And you have to do the same thing as well again. Extrude it and scale it down. Again extrude it and scale it a little bit down, not that much right here. And now you have to keep doing this unless we reach the top, alright? Even if you see like small, small differences, you have to extrude and scale down, alright? So here you can see there's a little bit of interruption, again and again. So you have to do that again and again until it's perfect looking, alright? So let's just shoot again and go it above a little bit and transform it, scale it down. Again extrude and again extrude, again extrude little bit, scale it out, extrude again, then extrude again little bit, scale it, extrude again a little bit, scale it down, and we are almost reaching the top of it. Extrude till the top. Yeah, this looks good. So we reached the top. Now one thing which we have to keep in mind is that we don't have the side angle of this bottle right here. So what we can do is kind of imagine how it should look like, in real life. Now if you have a bottle, the holder, you imagine how the holder looks like. I think this should look like a small rectangle, right, from the top. I'm just thinking because I feel like it should be like that, alright. So there's a little bit of inner extrusion right here, as you see right here, alright. So what we can do is here, when the extrusion is happening at this point, we can create another cut. So for doing that, as I said, let's use the loop path cut and let's create. Alright, let's get back, and here what we can do is create another loop path cut. Alright, here, and we created another path cut. Now what we can do is kind of scale this in a way that it does not scale from all the sides. We just want to scale this in the Z direction, because as you can see, it's just extruded in the Z direction. It's not extruded in the X direction. Otherwise, I don't know how it will look like, alright. So for doing that, let's get back to the viewport. Kinda align it as the front view. So this was the view we were seeing, alright. And we have to extrude this side inwards. So what we should do is select all the edges and then transform them. The edges which are above, obviously, alright, not all the edges. Another thing which I wanted to mention is that if you want to select edges like loop selection, what we can do is select an edge and double click on it, and it's gonna select in a way that kind of creates a loop, alright. We can do the same on the top here as well. Alright, and we can do the top ones as well, and the side ones as well. Wait a second, hold shift and do everything, alright. Don't hold shift, it's not gonna select. Alright, so let's align this perspective viewport in a way that kinda is similar to the front view, alright. So this is the same as the front view right now, so that we can see a clear angle. So what we have to do is transform it in a Z direction, alright. So let's select this and transform it. I'm just thinking how it should look like, alright. Yep, this looks good. So now let's create another loop cut right here in order to make it a little bit curvier, alright. And just scale it in, but transform. Alright, we have to select it. Select the ones which are above. Let me check. Yeah, everything is selected. Press T and do this a little bit. Now let's select the ones which are above and do that again. Now as you see, it's not 100% perfect, but we are gonna subdivide it, so you know it's gonna change. Don't worry about it right now. Now let's see how we can create this hole right here, which is kind of hard to make, but we can do it by creating cuts around it as well. So let's create another loop path cut, alright, and do one right here, and that's it. And now what we can do is delete the polygons which are in this area, alright. Select the move button and select the polygon, this, and this. Delete it. Same with the ones which are behind, this, and this. So we created this hole. Now what we should do is that we should join these, bridge these points in order to close the holes. What you have to do is right click and use the bridge tool, alright. Select the points like this one. You have to hold it, alright. First this one and then this one, and we close the gap. You have to hold it, alright. Now let's do the same with the other ones, alright. Let's do with this one. Now it's automatically gonna create, alright. This one and this one, this one is this one, because there's common points in between, alright. So this one and this one, and right here this one, easy. Yep. So here we have created this, and let me save. I have not saved it yet, guys. Imagine. Now as we have created the hole as well, what we have to do is check if everything is proper right now. Now what I think here is that here it's not as curvy as we have here. It's a lot of curve right here, alright. we don't need this much curve. So what we can do is, there's another thing which we can use, alright? And what we can do is select the points where we don't have to create that much curve. Select all the points with the scale tool. It does not matter how you select, but you can do that as well. Let's select the points. And keep in mind that you have to keep the number in your mind, the scaling percentage, because we are going to do the same on the other side. And do it while pressing the shift key. Alright, and we have to do it in the x-axis. I think this 50% is good for that. Let's do that on the other side. This. Yep. 50% was. So it would be symmetrical. Alright, so this is also good. This is also looking good. The next thing is also the top. So before we do the top, let's just preview it in the subdivision mode. Not preview, but we have to use it anyways. So click on cylinder and hold Alt, and then click on this subdivision surface. We can make this look better, of course. And the way we can do, see, it kinda looks good though. Everything is falling in line. We just have to make some changes in order to make it look better. In the top, we see this lining happening. Alright, we can do that. We can change that as well. The top kind of looks like in a way which is oval shaped. We want it like rectangle. So for now, let's turn off this and let's do the modeling. So what now we have to do is select the polygons on this side in order to make it scale down, so that this oval shape, we can make this a rectangle. So select the polygons on the left side for now. And I hate this when the axis comes in between while selecting it. It's so annoying. Scale this side to 0% on the Z axis. Press shift while doing that, alright. Yep. Do that on the right side as well. That looks pretty good. Yep, that looks pretty good, guys. I think we can also scale this side down. Let's do it to like 40%. Do the same on this side. Alright, let's turn on the subdivision surface and check now. Now it kinda looks good. Now it looks good. We have to change the topology above as well. Topology mean how the polygon, like how the object is constructed, alright, if you don't know what. Yep. Let's select these points and make them kind of scale as well. Alright. 140 is good. Do that on this side as well. Keep the percentages in your mind, alright guys. Always keep the percentage in your mind. Yep, looks identical. because it's symmetrical object, so you have to do the same percentages everywhere. If you do on one side, you have to do that same thing on the other side. Now let's move on the top side. Now the top side looks pretty weird, it looks really weird. So what we can do is delete all the polygons on the top and reconstruct it in order to look good. Select polygon mode, delete polygons on the top. And before we delete anything, alright, I'm just gonna make a new copy of it just in case. Alright, so hold control and drag down. Alright, turn this off. Let's do this. Select the cylinder and delete it. Boom, it's gone. Now the way we can reconstruct it is by closing the polygon first, the hole first, I mean the polygon hole first. Go to close polygon hole, go to close polygon hole and close it. And now we have closed the polygon hole. Now we don't have to leave it like this, alright? We don't have to leave it like this. We have to create chords. So for that, let's use the line cut as I said. Now just join the opposite points, alright? Easy. Whenever you're done, just press escape, alright? Now what we can do is, as we have done it, we have created and we have reconstructed it. There's still triangles, alright? So what we can do is just delete these, alright? These edges. Not delete, but dissolve. Right click and dissolve. Alright, same with here. Accidentally selected that. Dissolve. So this is what we have here. Now what we have to do is delete the unnecessary points and unnecessary edges. So how we can do that is select these points which I'm selecting and just copy me. Alright. Same on the other side. Dissolve and connect these points, alright. Let's use the line cut. Same on the other side. Alright, so we made it, guys, like this. Now what you can see is there's some error which is happening here. We can fix that as well. There's two different points, so we can just join them. How we can do that is, if you are getting a problem like this, what you can do is select both of these points and weld them together, right? And it should be good now. Let's check. Yep, looks good. We have finally made it look good. We can add some more corners to make it more curvy on the side, because it's pretty hard right now. We can do that. Just we'll just do the base stuff, then we'll proceed on that, guys. Now what you can see is that this area looks kind of scaled in. It looks a lot scaled in, so we can scale it out. So let's do it. Select the polygons, press T and scale it up. Scale on the Z axis, alright, because we need it on the Z axis, not the X. And here you see there's a problem that when we stitch the point, there's a little bit of curve right here. We can fix that as well. We can scale that in order to make it 0%, scale it on the Z axis. 0%. Alright, so this should look good. Yep, looks great. Alright, so let me check down below as well. I forgot to do the below side. Let's do it right now. If you see any bottle, there's a little bit of intrusion in the bottom part. We can do that little bit. First select these polygons down below, extrude a little bit, and now let's extrude. Now let's see. Yep, we have to extrude one more time inside. Alright, press Ctrl, hold Ctrl and extrude once more, and then do it now. And here you can see the extrusion happening. Alright guys, so now it looks good. Let's make it better. As you see, while we subdivide it, it creates a lot of curves. Alright, we don't need this much curve. So what we can do is create an edge loop. So what edge loop does is, if I create an edge loop, it kind of sharpens the interpolation. Alright, let's use loop path cut, and right here we can do one right here. Alright, and one right here. Yep, I think it looks pretty good now. That's it. Let's see the top part of it. Yes, well, it looks good. Here we need a little bit more extrusion. Alright, we'll do that. First we create edge loops. On the top we need some edge loops as well to make it smoother. Let's select the edges here, this, and what we can do is scale them on the X direction. Deselect this one now by shift and double clicking them, one of them, and it will deselect all of them. And now do this side. It's good. Now select this side. These two loops and do the same. Now these two sides again. Now we are getting close. We're getting close to it. And also we see here also we need an edge loop because it's a sharp interpolation right here. All right, and here you can see it's like curve, but here it's not, so we need to add an edge loop right here as well. Select the cylinder, and now let's use the slide tool. I was talking about the slide tool, let's use it now. All right, select this loop and hold control and do this. All right, one right here, and I think it should work. Yep, one right here as well. I think we should create a loop cut now on this side, one right here. Now it looks good. So we don't have to be like really perfect, you know. If I want to do this, I will do some changes right here as well, you know. But for beginner level, this is more than enough for you. Down below we can add a edge loop as well. Let's see, down below, cut, right here, yep. Now it's looking good, kind of corresponds with it. All right, this will be a steel part. All right, from here it's gonna be the blue part. Now last thing what we should check here is that everything is aligning properly. If there is a little bit of difference, you know, does not matter, you know, no one cares about it. But there's like a significant difference, then you should check it and try to repair it, you know. Other than that, I think everything is good. So let's see all the normals if they are good. What I mean by normals is that just press Ctrl A. The colors here should be orange, alright, not blue. If we see inside of it, it is blue. The inside part should be blue and the outside part should be orange. You have to keep that in mind in order to light and, you know, texture or shade, you know, both are the same. So yeah.